it's Mike with TechPB, and we're going to do a show today on the Vice. It seems like once the winter months come around, everybody gets snowed in, and I start getting emails about what should I buy, what should I buy. So we're going to do a quick little upgrade show for the Bob Long Vice. Now I've got a couple things here that we're going to put into this gun. We've got the 4 eyes with the laser from Bob Long. We've got the low pressure poppet. So I'll show you guys how to install that. And the star of the show today is going to be the brand new Tadao Yakuza board, the new OLED from Tadao Technologies. It's got some really cool stuff in here. I've got my laptop here, so I'm going to show you guys some of the really cool features of being able to interface your board with your computer. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is install the eyes. Okay, what we'll do here is we'll start installing the eyes. Now obviously, you know, this is not an upgrade you're going to want to do at the field. You're going to want to do this at your house. You know, nice clean environment, so if you lose any parts or whatever, they're right here. Now what I'll do is, as I'm actually installing the eyes, one of the biggest questions that I get is, what's the biggest difference between the 2 eyes and the 4 eyes? What do the 4 eyes do that the 2 eyes don't, and stuff like that. If you play ramping, okay, if you play in a ramping setting, a PSP setting, something like that, the 4 eyes aren't really going to help you much in a ramping setting. Okay, now while I'm talking about this, I'm also going to clean this out. It's a little cold here in Florida. I've been breaking a lot of paint, so while we got the eyes out, let's go ahead and clean the detents. But what the 4 eyes do, and there's a great animation. The company that makes this is called, I believe it's called 4CI or something like that, or 4CIproducts.com. I think there may be even an animation on Bob Long Direct. What they do is you have a top set of eyes and a bottom set of eyes. Okay, the top set of eyes, what it does is it detects the ball starting to drop into the breech and basically pre-charges the solenoid. Okay, so as the ball is starting to drop into the breech, it begins to send current to the solenoid. And basically what it does is, in a semi-auto setting, it makes your gun faster in semi-auto. Now what's the advantage of having it in PSP? Well, the advantage of having it in PSP is if you're shooting extremely brittle paint and you happen to break paintballs, and just excuse me while I clean up my eyes here while I do this, if you happen to break paintballs while you're out there, you have another set of eyes to back up on. Now obviously with the PSP now changing the rate of fire to 10 balls per second, I mean you almost wonder, are eyes even necessary anymore in the PSP? I'm almost tempted to go out there and play with a Vibe just to prove a point. But that's the biggest difference between 2 eyes and 4 eyes. If you play in a true semi-auto setting, I would recommend going and getting the 4-eye upgrade for your Mark and for your Vice. Now, something else too is the Vice, or the Protege and the Vice and the Mark do not use the same eyes. So just because you may have a 4CI system for your Mark, it will not work in the Vice. It's a totally, or the Protege. It's a totally different eye system. The connectors are different. It does not work. So, as you see me taking this out, now the biggest thing you want to do is when you go to pull the bracket out, you always want to grab it by the Molex connector. Don't ever grab the wires. It's very easy to pull the wires out of this connector. So grab it by the connector and just grab it with your fingernails and just wiggle it back and forth and just take your time with this. There's no rush. Take your time with it and pull it out. Generally, on the Molex connector, there's a little plastic flange and your fingernails can grab onto that. So don't mind me while I do a little gun maintenance while we do the video. So we'll go ahead and clean out the detent cover here. And it was like 25 degrees the other weekend when I was playing with this thing and was breaking paint like crazy because the paint was left in the trailer at the paintball field all weekend long. When I showed up there on Sunday, it was like shooting frozen peas. So here we go. Put it on there. Now, something else to keep in mind too is there's 2 holes here in the eye connector. You have the eye cover hole, and then you have the eye hole that holds it in place. So you always want to put the screw in the back, and then the front screw here, the screw that's closest to the barrel, is what actually holds the eye cover on. So hopefully while I've installed this, I've explained the difference between the 4 eyes and the 2 eyes. If you're playing in a semi-auto environment where semi-auto is very important, you need to get the fastest rate of fire possible in semi-auto. Going with the 4-eye system will basically what it'll do is it'll make your rate of fire faster because as the ball is dropping into the breech, it'll pre-charge the solenoid. So as the ball is dropping down, that 5 milliseconds, the solenoid is getting pre-charged and shoots it out the barrel 5 milliseconds faster. So you will get an increased rate of fire. And if you're a speed nut, you like showing off how fast your gun goes, the 4 eyes will make your gun much, much faster than the 2-eye system. So it just gives the solenoid and the electronics a little bit more of a heads up as the ball goes in. So let's go ahead and we're going to turn on the board here. And actually, no, we're going to skip that because you guys can't see the LED anyway. But let's go ahead and install the poppet. Now, the low pressure poppet, the biggest difference between the low pressure and the standard poppet is the low pressure poppet is going to use more air. Okay? The poppet that comes with the vise is designed for efficiency, but it also makes the gun a little bit louder, gives the gun a little bit more kick. So if you're looking for your gun to be a little more gentle on paint and be a little more gentle on paint, but it is going to use a little bit more air, drop in the low pressure poppet. So what I did was first thing is uninstall the regulator. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this screw out. There's only one screw holding the LPR housing in, and then the LPR housing will slide out. There it is. Inside here is the screw, and what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to get a pair of needle nose pliers really quick so I can pull the poppet out. There we go. So, poppet doesn't want to come out, do what I do. Push it forward, take your bolt, slam it down, poppet shoots right out. Okay, so here is the stock poppet, and let's go ahead and get the upgrade poppet. And you're going to take a look at them. They're going to look a lot alike. Pretty much I think what the biggest difference is the shaft that is on the low pressure poppet is milled down a little bit more than the stock poppet. To allow a little bit better airflow in. So that's what it looks like to me. And also the shaft is a little bit longer. So what's going to happen is it's going to hit it and it's going to allow a little bit more air through. So let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at that really quick so you can see. Okay, if I hold that up to the camera there, and let me get a little backing so hopefully you can see. If you look at that, you'll see that the upgrade poppet is slightly longer. So basically the ram is going to hit it a little bit earlier, and it's a little bit thinner than the stock poppet. It's going to a little more air through, and it's also going to start opening up a little bit sooner. All right, so what I did was I just dropped a little bit of lubricant on there. Whatever lube you like to use works fine. My personal favorite I've been using lately is the Lurker lube. I love it. They make great stuff. So let's go ahead and drop the poppet in. And it feels like the poppet is in place. Okay, let's go ahead and clean this up really quick and put the low pressure housing back into the gun. And there's a little concave on it, that's where the barrel goes, so you just want that little concave to face up. And let's go ahead and get the screw. Kind of cool, they only have one screw. Same screw that holds the LPR in, also holds the front of the grip frame on. So pretty cool. A little easier than the old grub screws from the ALA stays and stuff like that. That's it. Now, what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and put the regulator back on it. And we'll grab an air tank and make sure we don't have any leaks. Okay, so we put it back together. Let's go ahead and turn it on really quick. Give it a couple test fires. All right. Sounds great. Definitely a lot louder than it was before, so obviously it's letting a little bit more air through. Okay, now let's go ahead and pull the tank off, and now we're going to install the new Tadao Yakuza board. All right, now what I'm going to show you how to do is how to install the board. What you want to do is obviously remove the regulator, then go ahead and remove the grips. And then it's also a good idea to go ahead and remove the battery. And now there's only 3 screws that are holding the board. In this case, this is a vise, so this is a Tadao board that already comes with it. But there's only 3 screws that hold the board in, whether you've got a mark, vise, protege, closer, whatever. So let's go ahead and unscrew these 3 screws. Now I've actually got the rendition magnet trigger kit in here, so you're probably going to have a spring. So mine's going to take a little extra step. So let's go ahead and pull the trigger out. And then out comes the board. Now, obviously you want to do this at your house so you don't lose any of these little tiny screws. Now, the same thing that you did with the eyes, what you want to do is grab the harness, not the wires. You want to grab the harness by your fingernails and then just wiggle it back and forth until it pops out. There we go. You never want to grab it by the wires. You grab by the wires and you're going to pull the wires out of that Molex connector. And let's go ahead and open up the box. Let's see what comes in the new Tadao Yakuza board, okay? It's got the new flat panel grips, which are really cool. It's got a sticker. It's got a chip here, or a wire harness here, which I assume is probably for a Magna RF chip or Pulse. Probably both. It's got some screws and, of course, the board. So let's go ahead and set this aside, and we're going to go ahead and install the board. All right. Now what you're going to want to do is let's go ahead and plug in the wire harness. Now you're going to see some different connectors here. Obviously the wiring harness is only going to fit in the one that it fits in. So I believe that's like a 10 wire or 12 wire, so you just plug it into the only spot that it will fit in. And just got to kind of mush the wires up into the frame a little bit, and it drops right down, no problems at all. Let's go ahead and put in the bottom screw. Now when you're installing these boards, you never want to start torquing screws down right away. I always recommend leaving the screws a little bit loose until they're all in, just because I've seen if the board's just slightly off or whatever, it can be a little bit of a pain in the ass to get the screws to line up perfectly. If you start screwing down the first screw, if it's off just a little bit, it's going to be really hard to get the rest of the screws that are in. So I always recommend just putting the screws in just a little bit, and then once all the screws are finally threaded, then start tightening them down. Now because I've got the magnet trigger kit in here, I need to remove the frame, just because when I try to stick the back plate into the gun, it wants to stick to everything. So I usually just stick it to the Allen key here. There we go. Now let's grab one of the long screws here. There we go. And there's one more around here somewhere. There it is. And we drop this down. There we go. Now I've got all the screws in, and this is where I want to just go ahead and start threading them in place. That one goes in nice and smooth. That one goes in nice and smooth. That one goes in nice and smooth. Okay, now you start tightening them down. I've just seen a lot of people, they will start torquing down the first screw they get to, and then it makes it harder to screw the other ones in because the board may be off slightly. Now here's another little tip too. If you like a sensitive on-off button so you don't have to mash it down, make sure the screws are just slightly loose, and then take your finger and kind of push it against the back, and then you can screw it down and makes the on-off button a little easier to get to. There we go. Now let's go ahead and take the back screw, put it on the back of the vise. We'll put this screw in first. Obviously, you want to make sure that there are no pinched wires. They do a really good job with the vise. They have a little catch that keeps all the wires going right up the middle, but you obviously want to inspect it before you torque it down. If you see that your frame is off to the side or pushed down a little bit, you just want to make sure that there's no wires that are caught. That can be a disaster. And let's go ahead and put in the front screw. We are almost done with installing the Tadao board. Let's go ahead and get the trigger in there. There we go. Now the trigger drops right in. So very easy. And then what we can do is we can go ahead and put a battery in here really quick and just test it out. There we go. Lights up nice and bright. So let's go ahead and install the back plate on there really quick. What's kind of cool too is he actually already included the screws in with the kit. Just in case you lose one, it's always nice to have these extra screws. So go ahead and put these in place. Some people really like the flat panel grips, and it doesn't really matter to me one way or the other. I've got kind of bigger hands, so sometimes I like the little thick rubber grip sometimes, but these flat panel grips are definitely really nice. There we go. So lining right up, grip screw down with no problem at all. Definitely no surprises here so far, which is good. There we go. Now you just put your regulator on there and you have just installed the Tadao board. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reposition the camera and I'm going to show you some cool stuff on syncing this up with the computer. Okay, so now as you see here, I have the Tengu software from Tadao Technologies on my PC, and I have the micro USB connector. Now this is a standard USB connector that you already have with your computer. They use this for everything. And it's just a basic computer. He has the cables if you want to purchase them, but trust me, 99% of the the peripherals that are out there already use this USB cable, which plugs right into here, which is great. Does not take a special cable. I think you can even use the PlayStation cable that they use to charge the PlayStation. I think that even works. I mean, it's really that generic of a cable. So, as you can see here, it says board not detected. Verified board is attached to the USB, so let's go ahead and plug it right here into the socket. And let's take a look here. So I may have had to turn it off first. There we go. Okay, got to turn the board off first. So turn the board off. It says board is attached. Now here's some of the really cool things about this. Once you have it plugged in, obviously one of the coolest things about this is you have a boot screen editor, which is badass. Okay, so basically what you can do here is, what we're going to do really quick is let's go ahead and make my own little boot screen. So we're just going to say TECH. Look like one of Jen's kindergartners. Oh, maybe not that bad. Well, probably worse. Tech PB. All right. So we're going to go ahead and save this to the board, and it's saved to the board. Now, you can basically design any of your own boot up screens as long as it's a 96 by 16 in the I believe it's the BMP format. So 96 by 16 96 by 16, and you can do it. So let's go ahead and unplug this, and let's see if my little crooked Tech PB design pops up on the LCD screen. Let's go ahead and I had it actually on a quick startup. So let's go ahead and go to the settings here, load from board. And what we're going to do here is we are going to find the boot up screen. Let's put the boot up screen at 2.5 seconds. Save to board. What I did was the setting I had on here was if I'm playing a tournament, I don't want to see the boot up screen, so I just want to tap it and it's on. So what I did was I turned on the boot up screen. So let's go ahead and unplug it. Now let's see if you see my little stupid design that I put up here on the screen. There it is. Oh, that looks awful. Someone needs to draw me something a little bit better than that. But you know, that's how quick it is. So you can put your own name in here. You know, you can put a smiley face if you want to. So let's put a little smiley face here. There we go. Let's go ahead and turn the board off really quick. Okay, board is attached. Save to the board. Okay, now let's see if my little goofy smiley screen pops up on the computer. There's my little smiley screen. So there you go. Really, really easy. Now, obviously that's kind of cool because you put your name on there, you can put your team name on there, you can make it say whatever you want. You know, you can put all pixels on and make it in black. You can pay all pixels off and do it in white. So completely up to you. Really, really cool how well this worked. Now you go to settings here and let's go ahead and unplug it. Turn the board off. Okay. Load from board. Okay. Now here you have 5 different profiles that you can start with. So let's go ahead and start with profile 1. Okay, you've got all the different modes here. Semi-unlimited, semi-adjustable, PSP ramping, PSP burst, NXL, Millennium 08, custom ramping, auto response, 3-round burst, and fully automatic. You can adjust your max rate of fire from 5 all the way to, 35 or unlimited. Fine rate adjustment, so the decimal point, so if you need 13.1 or 10.1. It's got the game timer, D-bounce, anti-mechanical bounce, cycle percentage filter, which comes in handy when you're doing semi-auto. It buffers your shots. Solenoid dwell, anti-bolt stick, ball in place delay, bolt delay, I mode, ramping start, ramping percentage, semi-shots, you know, G mode, which is a fun little gangster mode. It's like a cheater mode. Rate of fire display, brightness, boot, everything. Auto off timer. So you guys that are like sniper players that are tired of some of the boards shutting off on you after a certain amount of time, you can actually shut off the auto timer. So if you have a mode, let's say you want to play sniper mode where you need your gun on for an hour and a half and not shut off on you, the Tadao board will do it. And you go in here and you shut off the auto off timer, which is really cool. So you can save this to the board. You can go back to default settings. You can load from a file, save the file. You can swap settings with your friends. Really, really cool. So, and this Tengu, I'm not sure if he's got the download available on the site, but if you go to techpb.com, you'll see the download. You'll see the download in the Tadao Technologies. We got it on there. It's tengu.exe. You download it and run it. Really, really easy. So let's give a little Willy. We're going to make a little Willy here because Willy's holding the camera and kicking ass back there. Willy. There it is. And then we'll put a little happy face for him right here. Bop, bop, bop. And let's go ahead and save that to the board. So it saves it to the board. And then we'll go ahead and turn it on. Oh yeah, Willy. What do you think? So there you go. And obviously Tadao Technologies makes great stuff. So you go check them out, TadaoTechnologies.com. So that's the new Yakuza board from Tadao. So shoot me an email if you have any questions. Thank you very much.